Put it in the refrigerator, Isaiah.
I only got two rubbed out of that. Where am I supposed to put those?
Figure out a spot, son. Okay.
Can you tell
Wrong place to put
these?
What?
Can you tell Bella not to touch these?
Well, Jeremiah gave them to y'all. Look like y'all got one apiece, huh?
Well, but everyone's in need of grab them. And this one? Do you want this one?
No, I don't. No, thank you, son. I do not want that one.
Well, we got 4 in there.
All right, beautiful people. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Let me.
Hello.
They can't see you. They see the corner of your head, son.
That always happens. Hello. I am now in Mom's video.
Okay, new son. Okay, let me share the live video from my move. From my Facebook page, from the actual Awaken the Truth page, so it can go on my personal page. Okay, share. Yeah, let's just copy the link. It'll be a lot faster. Hold on, y'all. There we go. That way. People may not realize I'm live from the actual page today and not my personal profile. All right, so we got that taken care of. We'll go back over here to YouTube. All right, beautiful people. Happy Monday. It is April the 11th, 2022. Day 79 of year 4 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. Another 4-year consecutive day count, y'all. It is day 1097. All right, y'all. Today we starting 2 new books today. We are starting Big Blue. Shayla, hey girl, hey, that's why I was Great Rising. Big Blue. The Wasp. Remember how big this janky is, right? Bigger than my head. And then, after 30 minutes of this, jump over to the new one. Meditation, right? All right. So, Father, thank you for another day as we get started. As we get started on a new journey with new books, but continuing the growth process as we uncover truth. Be with us. Help us to understand and apply. All right, y'all. So I'm going to start at the beginning. Let me adjust this because this book is huge. Let me back this up a little bit. Back it up a little bit more so I can put it up here. Boom. I got space for this. Right there. All right. So I'm going to start and I'm going to read the first page. It's actually the very first page after the blue cover page. And it says, "Oh, I speak the words of Jehovah." Right? But it has a V-I-H, Jehovah, or we just say Jehovah. "The words of Jehovah and his angel ambassadors, a sacred history of the dominions of the higher and lower heavens on the earth for the past 24,000 years, being from the submersion of the continent of Pan in the Pacific Ocean, commonly called the flood or deluge, to the Cosman area. Also a brief history of the preceding 55,000 years, together with a synopsis of the cosmology of the universe, the creation of the planets, the creation of man, the unseen worlds, the labor and glory of gods and goddesses in the ethereal heavens, with the new commandments of Jehovah to man of the present day, with revelations from the second resurrection, formed in the words of the 33rd year of the Cosman area." And this is the Elois edition, Duxbury, Massachusetts, December 2016. Mom, shalom, shalom. All right. I normally read through the table of contents, so we're going to follow the same procedure here, and we're going to read them It's actually two. You have the table of contents. Then after the table of contents, you have the list of plates. All right. Okay, so the table of contents, you have next the list of plates, the list of portraits, then you have the preface, the introduction, editor's notes, suggestions for new students of OWASP. OWASP, the Voice of Man, Book of Jehovah, Book of the Sethantes, Son of Jehovah, First Book of the First Lords, Book of Ash Shang, Son of Jehovah, Second Book of the Lords, Synopsis of 16 Cycles, Book of Af, Son of Jehovah, the Lord's First Book, Book of Su, Son of Jehovah, the Lord's Second Book, Book of Apollo, Son of Jehovah, the Lord's Third Book, Book of Thor, Son of Jehovah, the Lord's Fourth Book, Book of Osiris, Son of Jehovah, the Lord's Fifth Book, Book of Fragapati, Son of Jehovah, Book of God's Word, Book of Divinity, Book of Sipinta Armage, Daughter of Jehovah, First Book of God, Book of Wars Against Jehovah, Book of Lika, Son of Jehovah, Book of the Ark of Bon, God's Book of Ben, Book of Cosmology and Prophecy, Book of Saphi, Simoan, Tablet of Bean, Tablet of Kai, Zerl, Oadeth is, Fonts, Ihan, Aribania, Hiya, Yasutui, I screwed that up, Hoed, Chine, Zerl, Ki, Port Pan, Algonquin, Anubis, and in parentheses it has Old Egyptian, Algonquin, Bagan, God. Can you stop making so much noise? Yeah. Emek Thak Va, Haidang, Mahak, Chamber of Adepts, Chamber of Prophecy, the basis of the Ezra Bible, Ahura Mazda. Remember Ahura Mazda from what we just finished reading? Ahura Mazda. Levine, blessings, Auntie Belinda Brown, Grand Rising, my good peeps. Trina, hey girl, hey. We're going through the table of contents of Big Blue. The OWASP, right? Okay. Ahura Mazda. Every time I change a finger, it's a different chapter because it's a lot of them. All right. Ahura Mazda, basis of Vedi, lords of the hosts of heaven, early history of the faithists of the east, Bond's book of praise, God's book of Esra, book of Ace, daughter of Jehovah, book of judgment, book of inspiration, Book of Jehovah's Kingdom on Earth, Book of Shalom, Book of Discipline, Appendix, Introduction, Book of Knowledge, Book of Oranothin, the Glossary, Current Position of the Solar System in this Cosmon Season, Lineage of Humanity, G, GA, Inconsistency, Index, and a Poem. All right, so the next page is the list of plates. And the list of plates, I think the plates are actually like the pictures that it shows, right? Yeah, plate 6. Yeah, that's what the plates are. When we get to them, I'll lift up the book and show it to you just in case you don't have it. Okay, plate 1, Earth, lower heaven, and Etherian hosts descending. Plate 2, Etherians visiting the Earth. Plate 3, types of races. Plate 4, the Earth and its atmospherian heavens. Plate 5, Simuan firmament. Plate 6, Exargus. Plate 7, Etheria, atmosphere and the Earth. Plate 8, Usaga or Uga. Plate 9, the signature. Plate 10, the divine seal. Plate 11, Tukshain. Plate 12, Chegu. Plate 13, tablet of Eod Zan, numeration. Plate 14, Earth in Akgokuk. Plate 15, Earth in Kazkak. Plate 16, Earth in the crossroads of Horeb. Plate 17, the Earth in the Ark of Bon. Plate 18 is Ethera. Plate 19 is Earth. Plate 20, Etherian worlds and roadways for sun phalanxes. Plate 21, primary vortex. Plate 22, secondary vortex. Plate number 3, third age of vortex. Plate number 24, fourth age of vortex. Plate 25, organic wark, W-A-R-K. Plate 26, J-A. Plate 27, shattered wark. Plate 28, the earth in Agi. Plate 29, Hayarti or Nebula. Plate 30, Genequin swamp in Etheria. Plate 31, Lo Iask. Plate 32, serpent. Plate 33, prophetic numbers. Plate 34, the earth in Simu. Plate 35, a node. Plate 36, serpent's orbit. Plate 37, Shamil. Plate 38, earth and her Plato. Plateaux. Plate 39, photospheres. Plate 40, snowflakes. Plate 41, light. Plate 42, Tosang. Plate 43, dissection of the great serpent. Plate 44, the cyclic coil. Plate 45, Sivorcum. Plate 46, Sivorcum fold out. And it has opposite page. Plate 47, planets. Plate 48, first, second, and third resurrections. Plate 49, mathematical problems. Plate 50, travels of the great serpent, first and second 3,000 years. Plate 51, travels of the great serpent, third and fourth 3,000 years. Plate 52, travels of the great serpent, fifth and sixth 3,000 years. Plate 53, travels of the great serpent, seventh and eighth 3,000 years. Plate 54, travels of the great serpent, ninth 3,000 years. Plate 55, light illustrated. Plate 56, different lens illustrated. Plate 57, illustrations of corporal worlds. Plate 58, Orak Nibua Gala, prophetic gauge. Plate 59, outline map showing the locality of Pan, P-A-N. Plate 60, outline map showing the names and divisions of the earth. Plate 61, tree of language. Plate 62, Panic, Yahek, Vedic, Hebraic, and Sanskrit primaries. Plate 63, Samoan. Plate 64, Ankh or Zodiac. Plate 65, Aries. Plate 66, Tablet of Osiris. Plate 67, Tau. T-A-U. Plate 68, deviation of the line of the solar vortex. Plate 69, star worshippers. Plate 67, Tablet of Benin. Plate 71, Tablet of Ki. Plate 72, Tablet of Impagatu. Tablet 73, Tablet of Zero. Tablet 74, Is and Zero. Tablet 75, Tablet of Fansi. Tablet 76, Ihin. Tablet 77, Tablet of Ancient Egypt. Tablet 78, Tablet of Hayi. Tablet 79, Ceremonies in Sun Degree. Tablet 80, Key Ceremonial Tablet. Tablet 81, Port Pan Algonquin. Tablet 82, Anubis. Tablet 83, Bible and the Mound Builders. Tablet 84, Tablet of Baal-gan God. Tablet 85, distant view of the temple of Baal-gan God. Tablet 86, section view of the temple of Baal-gan God, Golgotha Temple. Tablet 87, Emetha Keva. Tablet 88, ceremony of Holy Mass, and after Mass it has moon in parentheses. Tablet 89, Isis. Tablet 90, the false Osiris. Tablet 91, Ark of Cosmon. Tablet 92, Gall, Gall. Tablet 93, Rates, Rates. And the last tablet, Tablet 94, is called Grades, Grades, like grade 7, 8, 9, 10. Zoe, Betwabu, Jerry. Oh, great spirit, creator of this spirit and our physical body, let us glorify you in everything we do. All right. Well, yeah. Took us 14 minutes to do that. The table of contents and portrait, the tablets, the plates. Okay, the next is the list of portraits. And it says, the portrait reproductions that appear in this text were taken from photographs of the original portraits that had been painted automatically, and it has automatically in air quotes, right? That had been painted automatically by Dr. Nubro while he was residing in Shalom. All the portraits were destroyed sometime after Shalom was permanently closed. The paintings were originally hung in the Cosmon Church of Shalom. For fuller information than is given below, see the index. And so now it begins to name Zarathustra or Zoroaster, which we learned about at the end of, that was the last tablet, right? That didn't click to just now. That was the last tablet in what we just finished reading, the complete Anunnaki Bible, right? So Zarathustra or Zoroaster, and it has page 148. It gives the names and it gives a little blurb about them. And so this is what it says about Zarathustra or Zoroaster on page 148. Erroneously called Zoroaster, a Persian lawgiver who lived in the cycle of Fragapati more than 9,000 years ago, the farthest back of all historical characters. Both Buddhist and Christian religions are said to be made up chiefly from the history and miracles of Zarathustra. It was to obliterate such history that Catullus, a Christian priest, burned the Alexandrian library in the year 390 AD. Yes, some of it is yours. Yes. Oh, well, because it was like a half of one. Go ahead and eat some of that. 3 Christian monks again burned it in the year 640 AD for the same purpose, but more effectively. Zarathustra was of enormous size and of neither sex, being... Isaiah, no, move. You gotta move. Go. Unball your face.
I don't even like pizza.
Well, don't eat it, son.
I want to watch something in the movie.
Hey, you're not going to sit here and whine, okay? Hold on. Zarathustra was of enormous size and of neither sex, being an Iesu, I-E-S-U, right? Or what we would call like an angel, neither sex, or somebody that's not human and have the sexual parts as we are. All right. Poe, page 265, of Japheth, afterward called China, was also an Isu. I think it's how you pronounce Isu. Sometimes they use that with some of the older versions of the Bible referring to Jesus, right? Iesu, Isu is spelled I-E-S-U. I'm going to just say Isu. Okay. Poe, P-O, page 265, of Japheth, afterward called China, was also an Isu. He was a lawgiver contemporaneous with Abram of Persia, living more than 5,800 years ago, and in the cycle of Sepenta Armige. He also taught, like Zarathustra, the doctrine of the Great Spirit, which doctrine he re-established in Japheth. And in parentheses, after Japheth, it has China. Isaiah, you got to get up or turn it off. Let's go. It's too loud. Let's go. Or go get your headphones. Get up. Thank you. Okay. Abram, page 276. Afterward called Abraham, and Ehuan, I apostrophe Huan, Abram, afterward called Abraham, and Ehuin, large and red, like new copper, and had black hair and long beard, fierce to look upon, but he was a gentle soul. He was a Persian and the founder. He was a Persian and the founder of the ancient Hebrews or Israelites, and also the founder of migration for religion's sake. He took his followers into Egypt. And Israelites here is spelled Israelites. So it's I-Z apostrophe Z-E-R-L-I-T-E-S. Israelites. He was a Persian and the founder of the ancient Hebrews or Israelites, and also the founder of migration for religion's sake. He took his followers into Egypt. Brahma, page 290. An East Indian lawgiver, contemporaneous with Poe and Abram. He was a large man of great strength and ranked the highest spiritually of all mortals. He reestablished the Zoroastrian religion in India. Utiv, of fairest women, wife of Brahma. Iwata, or Hiawatha, page 310, a North American contemporaneous with Poe, Abram, and Brahma. He was taller than any other man, with a bright shining face of copper. He established among the North Americans of his time the worship of the Great Spirit, and his doctrines are still held by many of the tribes of native North Americans who refuse to accept any other God or Savior. Iwata established the United States of America of the native North Americans, called Opa-Igoquin or Algonquin. The model of his independent nations, united into one, was that which was adopted in the formation of the present United States of America. Thothma, and in parentheses it has Hojax, page 375. The builder of the Great Pyramid in Egypt and one of the greatest adepts that ever lived. He could hear the gods and talk with them understandingly, and could cast himself in the death trance and go spiritually into the lower heavens and return at will. He was under the inspiration of the false god Osiris through his great angel servant gods Baal and Egypt. He labored to establish immortality in the flesh, that is, to make the mortal body incorruptible so that it would never die. But with all the forces of his will and by his great learning, he could not stay the withering of the flesh, and he died on the day he was 100 years old. Kapilya, page 389, of India, and Isu, living more than 3,400 years ago in the cycle of Lika, a lawgiver who restored the believers in one great spirit to hold property and to have the same rights as the worshippers of gods and lords. He was to India very similar what Moses was to the ancient Jews. As Moses was a foster child of the king of Egypt, so was Kapilya a foster child of the king of India, both receiving a profound education. Moses, page 420, an Egyptian lawgiver. He was contemporaneous with Kapilya of India and Chine of China, living more than 2,400 years after Abram, 3,400 BK. Moses was a large man, a pure Ehuin, copper-colored and of great strength, educated as a prince by his foster father Pharaoh, king of Egypt and master of many languages. He rebuilt what had been lost since Abram's time and also taught the Zoroastrian doctrine of one great spirit, whom they worshiped secretly under the name Jehovah. But in public worship and to avoid persecution, they called him God or Lord. The name Jehovah was maintained by Moses as too sacred to be spoken save in whisper and with mouth to ear. He taught that the angels who ministered to mortal nations and empires were titled God or Lord. Chine, Chine, page 445. A lawgiver contemporaneous with Capilla and Moses. He was an Isu, and like Moses, he was of copper color and very large, but his hair was red like a fox. He was the founder of China and restored the rights of the believers in Jehovah throughout that great country. Some of his miracles have never been excelled. Sakaya, page 604, sometime erroneously called Buddha. He lived more than 2,500 years ago and was an East Indian by birth, holding to the doctrines of one great spirit only. He was of sub-cycle rank. The term Buddha was wrongly attached to him by his followers over 1,000 years after his death. He did not encourage God or Lord worship. He taught that man's highest attainment was to live for the sake of others and not for one's self. He established covenants and nunneries and monasteries in many places in India. Caillou, page 610, erroneously called Confucius, and Ieyasu, a lawgiver of sub-cycle rank of China, living more than 2,500 years ago. He was one of the most learned men that ever lived and has still today a substantial number of followers in China. He taught the doctrine of one great spirit and to worship him only. He abridged 18,000 books of the ancients, taking the cream of all of them and condensed them into about 20 books. Jashu, page 624. Like Caillou and Sakaya, he was a lawgiver of sub-cycle rank. He was of Jewish birth and also an Ieyasu, born near Jerusalem more than 2,000 years ago. His predecessors were of the tribe called the Essenes, or non-resistance. You learn more about the Essenes in the Holy Megillah, right? Okay, y'all. Like Caillou and Sakaya, he was a lawgiver of sub-cycle rank. He was of Jewish birth and also an Ieyasu, born near Jerusalem more than 2,000 years ago. His predecessors were of the tribe called the Essenes, or non-resistance. He labored to bring the Jews back to their pristine purity. He was a severe preacher, denounced by the people as a blasphemer, and was stoned to death in Jerusalem. He also taught the doctrine of the Great Spirit only. It has been supposed that the so-called Sermon on the Mount that appears in the Christian New Testament was a plagiarism of Jashu's teaching appropriated by the First Ecumenical Council under the direction of the Emperor Constantine. Now, we're at the preface. We're at 27 minutes. Let me see. We'll read through the preface. Let's see where we at when we're done. Let's see if we read the introduction. Okay. Because we got to start another one too. I want to keep it like 30 minutes. Okay, preface. Is Oahspe true? Does it have a message of value? Whether you are a theist, mystic, deist, agnostic, atheist, or anything in between, if you believe nothing else, you at least must believe that you are blessed with intelligence and the ability to reason. Granting at least that, then let no one else do your thinking for you. Do not let anyone else's opinion of whether Oahspe is true or not true influence your judgment. Do not let other people, regardless of their credentials, preempt your freedom to think and decide for yourself. Do yourself the favor of reading the book from beginning to end in its entirety and without skipping from place to place, which can cause misunderstandings. Then, if it speaks truth to your inner being, if it reinforces your values of love and service to others, if it offers an expansive view of the universe that is refreshingly uplifting and portrays a destiny set in motion by our Creator that to your mind is more logical, rational, and fair than what you have been exposed to in the past, then embrace it as a guide and a foundation for your own future growth. If you find that it does not speak to your condition, then all you have lost is some time well spent in search for truth. We assure you that in no way will you be personally diminished by your efforts, for within all experience will be found the seeds of growth. The quest for knowledge should be an unending endeavor. What you have before you is the second edition of OASP. There are two. The first was published in 1882, and the second, slightly re-edited version in 1891. We have compared both editions word for word, and we must offer our humble assurance that the differences between the two are negligible and in no way alter the overall message or narration of the text. While there is some debates as to how the editing for the second edition was conducted, we find the point to be inconsequential, since most changes relate to typographical errors, grammar, or aesthetic considerations that are, in the final analysis, of little consequence. These minor differences, which are annotated throughout the book in the footnotes, should be no cause for concern, because the big picture is all that matters. OASP, even in its own words, was never intended to be a perfect book, to be quoted chapter and verse as a substitute for personal discernment, or with a stroke of finality to establish a sect or to dictate a creed. If you are seeking such a book, you have come to the wrong place. OASP reaffirms the truth that predated all religions, sects, or creeds. OASP directs us toward all light, the inner light, the I am, that one source within. Let me read again. OASP directs us toward the all light, the inner light, the I am, that one source within for our ultimate guidance. OASP is offered as a textbook of sorts, one guiding light to help us on that path. While the physical distance between one's self and one's inner soul is very short, yet the journey we need to follow to reach that inner source within our souls is a very long one. Listen for that voice within your own being for your own ultimate guidance, rather than seeking it within the covers of this or any other book. Without apology, that is the overriding message offered for this most unusual book, The Lowest Ink, 2016. And this is where we will pause. Shalom, Francis. We're going to pause right here. We'll get to the introduction tomorrow. Because if I start it, it's going to probably take us to the end of our time today. I don't want to do that. We got to start the new book. I know, y'all. It's getting good and we ain't got started yet. And we ain't even had breakfast yet. We're going to pause it right here at the introduction. Pick it back up tomorrow. All right? Drum roll, please. All right. Now we start the meditation book, right? Now, this is a view from ancient Kemet, right? Ancient Egypt. You should be familiar with some of these terms as we went through My Big Toe, right? You learned about meditation, or if you practice meditation even before we read, if you're familiar with any of that, this is going to give you a different vantage point to help you understand some things a little bit better. Okay. Meditation, the ancient Egyptian path to enlightenment. Discover the science of self-mastery and immortality. Dr. Mauta Ashby. Right? Okay. So on the front, has a picture, the hieroglyphs, this, and I'm going to read this to you. And it says, contemplate thy powers, contemplate thy wants and thy connections. So shalt thou discover the duties of life and be directed in all thy ways. When an idea exclusively occupies the mind, it is transformed into an actual physical state. Reason of divinity may not be known except by a concentration of the senses like onto it. Get thyself ready and make the thought in you a stranger to the world illusion. And those are 4 ancient Egyptian proverbs. Okay. Ancient Egyptian Path to Enlightenment, SEMA Institute of Yoga. So I'm going to show you the page right here. And it has like the little arrow, but it looks like a shovel. And then it has like their little logo for the SEMA Institute. It's going to give you like a little introduction of who they are and what they do. It's a husband and wife team. Of course, with people that they have helping them. Okay. SEMA, which is this. SEMA, then it has that sign in parentheses again. SEMA is an ancient Egyptian word and symbol meaning union. The SEMA Institute is dedicated to the propagation of the universal teachings of spiritual evolution, which relate to the union of humanity and the union of all things within the universe. It is a non-denominational organization which recognizes the unifying principles in all spiritual and religious systems of evolution throughout the world. Our primary goals are to provide the wisdom of ancient spiritual teachings in books, courses, and other forms of communication. Secondly, to provide expert instruction and training in the various yogic disciplines, including ancient Egyptian philosophy, Christian Gnosticism, Indian philosophy, and modern science. Thirdly, to promote world peace and universal love. A primary focus of our tradition is to identify and acknowledge the yogic principles within all religions and to relate them to each other in order to promote their deeper understanding, as well as to show the essential unity of purpose, and the unity of all living beings and nature within the whole existence. The Institute is open to all who believe in the principles of peace, nonviolence, and spiritual emancipation, regardless of sex, race, or creed. Robin Bird Shalom. Okay, now it's giving you a little blurb about the author. Reginald, here's his picture. That's the author, Dr. Muata Ashby. You got all his books? Yo, I got his entire library, Robin. Woo! Boy, you will go up like 10 different levels in your spirituality and your growth just with his library alone. Oh my gosh, he brought so much clarity to some stuff. Okay, about the author. Reginald Muata Ashby holds a Doctor of Philosophy degree in religion and a Doctor of Divinity degree in holistic healing. He is also a pastoral counselor and teacher of yoga philosophy and discipline. Dr. Ashby is an adjunct faculty member of the American Institute of Holistic Theology and an ordained minister. Dr. Ashby has studied advanced jhana, bhakti, and kundalini yogas under the guidance of Swami Jyotirmayananda. Sorry, sir, I messed up your name. A world-renowned yoga master. He has studied the mystical teachings of ancient Egypt for many years and is the creator of the Egyptian yoga concept. He is also the founder of the SEMA Institute, an organization dedicated to the propagation of the teachings of yoga and mystical spirituality. Karen Clark Ashby, Vijaya Asha, is the wife and spiritual partner of Muata. She is an independent researcher, practitioner, and teacher of yoga, a doctor in the sciences, and a pastoral counselor, the editor of Egyptian Proverbs and Egyptian Yoga by Muata. Then it has the SEMA Institute, P.O. Box 570459, Miami, Florida 33257. Phone number is 305-378-6253. Their fax is 305-378-6253. Just like we do with all books, we're going to go through the table of contents. Shoot, this might take us to the end. No, I'm joking. We'll get through the preface. Possibly the early beginnings of First Religion. Okay. Table of contents. SEMA Institute of Yoga, the foreword, the preface, introduction to the history and spirituality of ancient Egypt. That's one section. Within that section, you have early beginnings, the first religion, a long history, where was Shaitan Neter practiced in ancient times, the land of ancient Egypt, Nile Valley, the term Kemet and the origins of the ancient Egyptians, the term Kemet and the origins of ancient Egyptians, ancient origins. Let's repeat it twice. 15, 16. Yeah, it's on 2 pages. Ancient origins, the hieroglyphic text for the name Kemet. Okay, so the first time they say Kemet or Kemet, Kamata, Kamit. The third time they list it, they spell it Qamit, as in the hieroglyphic text for the name Kemet. When was Netarian religion practiced? Old Kingdom period, Middle Kingdom period, New Kingdom period. Who were the ancient Egyptians and what is yoga philosophy? Ancient Kemetic terms and ancient Greek terms. The next section is entitled Introduction to the Shetu Neter, Ancient Egyptian African Religion, and Sema-Twi, Egyptian Yoga. Within that section, you have these smaller sections. Why is it necessary to study religion? The fundamental principles of ancient Egyptian religion, summary of ancient Egyptian religion, the practice of shady principles leads to knowing one's self and the divine. This is called being true of speech. Netarian great truths, summary of the great truths and the shady paths to their realization, the spiritual culture and the purpose of life. Shetu Neter. Shetu Neter. Who is Neter in Kamashan religion? Sacred scriptures of Shetu Neter. Neter and the Neteru. The Neteru. The Neteru and their temples. The Neteru and their interrelationships. Listening to the teachings, the Anuan tradition, the Theban tradition, the goddess tradition, the Atan tradition, Akhenaten, Nefertiti, and the daughters. The general principles of Shetu Neter, the forces of entropy. We should all be familiar with entropy, right? From my big toe. The forces of entropy, the great awakening of Netarian religion. What is Egyptian yoga? What is yoga? What is Egyptian yoga? The study of yoga, the Sema-Twi of wisdom, the Sema-Twi of right action, the Sema-Twi of divine love, the yogic postures in ancient Egypt, the Sema-Twi of Tantrism. The next section is introduction to the Sema-Twi of meditation, Ua Shady. Then you have part 1, meditation, the path to spiritual enlightenment. And within that section, you have the introduction. What is meditation? What is the purpose of meditating? Shetu Neter Shedi. Purpose of meditation, purifying the mind. 3 states of mind. Listening. The next section is listening, Mechert. Reflection, Maui. Meditation, Ua. 3 steps in meditation, establishment and higher consciousness. What is the mind? Karma and reincarnation, yoga and religion, integral yoga, the search for true happiness and inner peace, the process of yoga. How does meditation work? The therapeutic value of meditation. Then part 2 is the next section, and it's entitled The Ancient History of Meditation. The ancient history of meditation, the destruction of evil men and women, the story of Hethiru and Jehudi, gloss on the destruction of evil men and women, the goddess Hathor or Hethiru, the 3 states of consciousness, the mystical experience, pure consciousness, the distracted state or agitation, the state of dullness, the state of lucidity, which is harmony, purity, and balance. Then you have part 3, formal meditation practice and its effects on the mind. Introduction, concentration, aids to concentration, extended concentration, meditation, cosmic consciousness, objects of meditation, the Neteru and their interrelationships, the mystical circle, abstract meditation, meditation and life, how to develop a meditative lifestyle, the diet, tips for formal meditation practice, rituals associated with meditation practice, the development of devotional feelings, choosing words of power, the daily schedule for yoga practice, basic schedule of spiritual practice, proper breathing, meditation postures, words of power in meditation, chanting the divine name. Meditation technique 1, simple meditation technique. Meditation technique 2, the integrated meditation. Meditation technique number 3, the basic serpent power meditation based on ancient Egyptian wisdom teachings. Meditation technique number 4, the supreme self meditation based on the hieroglyphic text of the destruction of mankind. Meditation technique number 5, the highest form of meditation, identification with the divine. Meditation as medicine for peace, health, and spiritual enlightenment, weathering the storm of uncontrolled thoughts, how to handle the restless mind. Then you have the index, and then the index is the audio seminar workshop series. Then it has to become a certified Kemetic meditation instructor. And then it has Uashedi, and it has like error bookmark defined. So I guess they're pages or something. They didn't catch this before it went to print, and it says error bookmark not defined because these should be page numbers, but it already came out in print. Other books from CM Books, error, self-published for profit, spiritual fulfillment and service to humanity, music based on the Pert M. Haru and other Kemetic texts. Remember, the Pert M. Haru is mislabeled the Book of the Dead, right? The Book of the Dead is a misnomer. It's not the Book of the Dead because it was actually written for the living. It teaches you how to wake up your mummy. Your flesh is called a mummy, right? Pert M. Haru. I got like 2 copies of it. All right. Now, the foreword. Meditation, the way to freedom from anxiety, depression, slothfulness, insanity, unrest, and ignorance. How is it possible? Audrey Shalom. Meditation can indeed prevent mental illness and promote the development of a highly integrated and advanced mind that can not only be free of mental complexes, but even unravel the mysteries of the universe. Meditation is the same power that allowed the great achievements of the past, such as the Great Pyramids, to be possible. This is the declaration of the sages, and it is up to the individuals to prove it in their own lives. Those who have implemented the teachings have discovered the value of meditation, and you will too. Countless scientific studies have proven the efficacy of meditation. Start today and discover its benefits to transform your life. Sibi Muata Ashby. And if if you've been here long enough and actually putting into practice meditation, especially what we've learned through My Big Toe and also the Gateway Process with Robert Monroe, who we learned about from My Big Toe, and he has a whole institute doing this scientific research on what they're talking about, and they're trying to prove it's true that contemporary Christian church tell you to stay away from, don't do it, it's of the devil. It brings you into a whole new world of understanding and why the church today is powerless. I'm just saying. Preface. When one normally speaks of meditation, the picture of someone sitting in a cross-legged position in a quiet area seeking to experience inner peace comes to mind. While this form of discipline is important in the practice of yoga for spiritual enlightenment, success in meditation has deeper implications. It means experiencing a state of inner peace and bliss, which remains with you not only when you are involved in the formal practice of meditation, but all throughout your day, in all conditions and situations. To most, this attainment may seem to be an impossibility. However, through the practice of yoga, it is possible to achieve such a state forevermore. A metaphor is given to illustrate how, through the practice of meditation, you can become eternally peaceful and blissful. In certain countries, cloth is dyed by placing a white piece of cloth into the dye and then placing it on a clothesline to dry in the light of the sun. As the rays of the sun dry the cloth, it also bleaches it out. the process of dipping the cloth in the dye and placing it to dry in the sun continues. Each time the cloth is left in the sun, the color is bleached out. However, never as much as the previous time. Each time, it retains a little more of the dye. Finally, when the color of the cloth no longer fades when hung to dry in the hot sun, the process of submerging yourself in the bliss and peace of your innermost essence, your higher self. However, the moment your eyes open, you are once again bombarded with the world of objects clamoring for your attention, pulling you away from the state of inner peace. Your inner peace is constantly being bleached by the sun of the world process. However, with the continued practice of meditation, you will find that you are able to abide in the experience of inner peace of the self for longer and longer periods of times after your practice of formal meditation. Thus, you become more and more able to withstand the deleterious effects of the blazing heat of the world process. You no longer become angry or frustrated at things which normally would have angered or frustrated you before, because internally you are having a more profound experience. However, until this practice is perfected, you must take a conscious effort to preserve your experience of inner peace by not allowing yourself to become upset and angry. In other words, you must put forth every effort to maintain a balanced and a serene, calm mind. The importance of keeping the mind calm is emphasized in yoga. It is said that there are 4 gatekeepers to the palace of enlightenment: serenity, contentment, spiritual inquiry, and good association, gathering in a group to listen to spiritual teachings being espoused by the enlightened sages. The importance of serenity is illustrated by the following metaphor. Picture a lake on a calm day where there is no breeze. As you can imagine, the sun and surrounding trees will perfectly reflect in the water. Likewise, when the mind is calm, when there are no thoughts creating ripples in the lakes of consciousness, then the higher self can clearly reflect in the mind of the individual, providing a feeling of inner expansion and the experience of supreme peace and bliss. So the experience of inner peace and supreme bliss can be yours at every moment by stilling the mind. It becomes a choice you make on a daily basis. There is a parable about a jeweler who, while waiting on a customer, is told by an employee that a valuable diamond is missing. The jeweler smiles and nods his head in acknowledgement. A few minutes later, the employee returns and informs him that they found the missing diamond. Again, the jeweler smiles and nods his head and continues his business with the customer. The customer, puzzled by the lack of concern on the part of the jeweler, asked the jeweler why did he not become upset when he was told about the lost jewel and elated when it was found. The jeweler replied that he had reflected within himself when he was told that the jewel was lost, and he realized that the diamond is merely a perishable object, and its loss meant nothing compared to the treasure of inner peace he was experiencing. Likewise, when the diamond was found, he did not become elated because he was experiencing a more profound treasure, the bliss of the self. Like the jeweler, you too must choose to protect that which is truly valuable, your mental serenity, and not discard it for the seemingly valuable but perishable objects of the world. Mental serenity is the key to experiencing the eternal peace and bliss of the supreme higher self. May you discover the bliss and peace of the soul in deep mystic meditation. Dr. Karen Vijaya Asha Ashby. Dr. Karen Vijaya Ashby is author of Yogic Mystic Metaphors, the author of numerous works by Dr. Muata Ashby, and the spiritual partner of Dr. Muata Abhaya Ashby. All right, y'all. Here we go. Introduction to the history and spirituality of ancient Egypt. Picture. Y'all remember what the Sphinx stood for? We learned that at the end of the book we finished reading yesterday, the Complete Anunnaki Bible. Y'all remember? The human head, the lion body, the wings, the legs. Y'all remember? Hold on. Dana, hey girl, hey. Girl, I had a missionable comment. She said, I can testify. That's facts. She said in the small time we've started this process, the whole dynamic of my mind, outlook, and even my children have been impacted with more peace. Hey. I know, right, Dana? You got to get in there. You just got to experience it and do it to know. Grand Rising, Uncle JB. Going from Facebook to YouTube. Okay. Early beginnings. The first religion. Shatu Neter. And Shatu is spelled Shetaut. Neter. Neter. Shatu Neter is the ancient Egyptian religion and philosophy. Ancient Egypt was the first and most ancient civilization to create a religious system that was complete with all three stages of religion, as well as an advanced spiritual philosophy of righteousness called Ma'at philosophy that also had secular dimensions. Several temple systems were developed in Kemet. They have I'm going to just call it Kemet, right? Kamit. Kemet. Several temple systems were developed in Kemet. They were all related. The pre-Judaic Islamic religions that the later Jewish and Muslim religions drew from in order to create their religions developed out of these. Clearly, we done found that out from our previous study leading up to this, right? We know everything coming from there, right? All the way back to the start with an S. I forgot. It's right down the tip of my tongue. Anyway, let me keep reading. The pre-Judaic Islamic religions that later Jewish and Muslim religions drew from in order to create their religions developed out of these. Ironically enough, only to later repudiate the source from which they originated. In any case, the Great Sphinx remains the oldest religious monument in history that denotes high culture and civilization as well. Ancient Egypt and Nubia produced the oldest religious systems, and their contact with the rest of the world led to the proliferation of advanced religion and spiritual philosophy. People who were practicing simple animism, shamanism, nature-based religions, and witchcraft were elevated to the level of not only understanding the nature of the Supreme Being, but also attaining salvation from the miseries of life through the effective discovery that transcendental being, not as an untouched, aloof spirit, but as the very essence of all that exists. Netarianism, 10,000 BCE to 2001 ACE, a long history. And I'm going to show a picture. It has a Great Sphinx up close again. Right here. This one. Make sure you can see it on YouTube. Okay. Alicia, hey, girl, hey. Okay. A long history. For a period spanning over 10,000 years, the Netarian religion served the society of ancient Kemet. It is hard to comprehend the vastness of time that encompassed by ancient Egyptian culture, religion, and philosophy. Yet the evidence is there to be seen by all. It has been collected and presented in the Book of African Origins of Civilization, Religion, and Yoga Philosophy. That volume will serve as the historical record for the Netarian religion and as record of its legacy to all humanity. It serves as the basis or foundation for the work contained in all the other books in this series that have been created to elucidate on the teachings and traditions as well as disciplines of the varied Netarian religious traditions. If you don't have that, they have that available. I have it in the library. Okay. I have it in my library. Okay. And here's a picture of it right here. right here. Just go to Amazon and type in Dr. Mwanta Ashby and his entire library will pop up. The book African Origins of Civilization, Religion, and Yoga Philosophy and other volumes on the specific traditions detail the philosophies and disciplines that should be practiced by those who want to follow the path of or Hunt. It's HM or HMT. I'm still trying to know how to pronounce some of these words, y'all. It's like to be practitioners of the Shatu Natur religion and builders of the Natarian faith worldwide. Okay. Where was Shatu Natur practiced in ancient times? Below left, a map of Northeast Africa showing the location of the land of Temeri or Kemet, also known as ancient Egypt, and south of it, located the land which in modern times is called Sudan. Egypt is in Africa, and ancient Egyptian religion and philosophy are African religion and African philosophy. And so it has a drawing of Africa. All right. The land of ancient Egypt, Nile Valley. The cities wherein the major theologies of Natarianism developed were Sais, or the Temple of Net; B, Anu, Heliopolis, Temple of Ra; C, Mennefer, or Hetakapa, Memphis, Temple of Ptah. Remember, Ptah is Enki. Ra was Enlil. Then you got D, Saqqara, Pyramid Text; E, Akhet Atan, City of Akhenaten, Temple of Aton. Then you have F, Abdu, Temple of Asar; G, Dendera, Temple of Hetheru. Then you have H, Waset, which is Thebes, Temple of Amun. You have I, Edfu, the Temple of Haru. Then you have J, Philae, Philae, Temple of Aset. The cities wherein the theology of the Trinity of Asar, Aset, Haru was developed by Anu, Abydos, Philae, Edfu, Dendera, and Edfu. And so what I just read is labeled A through J right here. And all of those letters are also over here on this map, which is, the portion of Africa, and they're like labeling out. You may not be able to read the small print inside of all of that labels the different places. But if you got the book, you can see it. Look at it up close. Screenshot it if you don't have the book. You 5 seconds. Screenshot it for YouTube. Hold on, let me put this over here so you can see all of it. Give 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Facebook, if you want to screenshot it, then you got the book. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, you just come back and watch the video at this part again at 1 hour and 2 minutes. Okay. We'll read the ancient origins and then we're going to pause. We're going to pause after this part. Okay. Ancient origins. The ancient Egyptians recorded that they were originally a colony of Ethiopians from the south who came to the northeast part of Africa. I'll read it again. The ancient Egyptians recorded that they were originally a colony of Ethiopians from the south who came to the northeast part of Africa. The term Ethiopian, Nubian, and Kushite all relate to the same peoples who lived south of Egypt. In modern times, the land which was once known as Nubia, or the land of gold, is currently known as the Sudan. And the land even further south and east towards the coast of East Africa is referred to as Ethiopia. And it says see map above, which was that map that I just showed you before this part. Recent research has shown that modern Nubian word Kiji, K-I-J-I, means fertile land, dark gray mud, silt, or black land. Since the sound of this word is close to the ancient Egyptian name Kish or Cush, referring to the land south of Egypt, it is believed that the name Cush also meant the land of dark silt or the black land. Cush was the ancient Egyptian name for Nubia. Nubia, the black land, is the Sudan of today. Sudan is an Arabic translation of Sud, S-U-D, which is the plural form of Aswad, which means black, and A-N with a like an arrowhead over the A, and which means of the. So Sudan means of the blacks. In the modern Nubian language, Nugud, N-U-G-U-D, means black. Also, Nuger, N-U-G-E-R, Nuger, N-U-G-U-R, and Nubi mean black as well. All of this indicates that the words Cush, Nubia, and Sudan all mean the same thing, the black land or the land of the blacks. And it has reference number 1, and it says Nubia. Then it has Microsoft and Carta Africana. Okay, so it was the definition when they pulled. Okay. Hold on. All of this indicates that the words Cush, Nubia, and Sudan all mean the same thing, the black land and or the land of the blacks. As we will see, the differences between the term Cush and the term Kam, K-A-M, Kemet, Q-A-M-I-T, the name for ancient Egypt in the ancient Egyptian language, relate more to the same meaning but different geographical locations. As we have seen, the terms Ethiopia, Nubia, Cush, and Sudan all refer to a black land or the land of the blacks. In the same manner, we find the name of Egypt, which was used by the ancient Egyptians, also means black land and or the land of the blacks. The hieroglyphs below reveal the ancient Egyptian meaning of the words related to the name of their land. It is clear that the meaning of the word Kemet is equivalent to the word Cush as far as they relate to black land, and that they also refer to a differentiation in geographical location, i.e., Cush is the black land of the south and Kemet is the black land of the north. Both terms denote primary quality that defines Africa, black or blackness, referring to the land and its people, the quality of blackness, and the consonantal sound of K or Q, as well as the reference to the land, are all aspects of commonality between ancient Cushitic and Kamatian terms. The hieroglyphic text for the name Kemet. And so I'm going to show you this to y'all over here. Okay, and the first one is this one right here, Kemet, ancient Egypt. The next one, Kemet, blackness, black. Then you have Kemet, literature of ancient Egypt, scriptures. Then you have Kemet or variant. Then you have ancient Egypt, people of the black land. So that's the translation of all of these. And see how it's all similar? Okay. Oh yeah, hour and 8 minutes. And I think we'll pause. The Old Kingdom period. Let me just read this because it's more reference and then it's actually getting into everything. So let me read these next 2 little pages, and they really short. It'll go with today with like the references. Okay. When was Netarian religion practiced? It has C, 65,000 BCE, Paleolithic, Nakan, Hieroconpolis. C, 10,000 BCE, Neolithic period. Then it has a pre-dynastic period, 10,500 BCE to 7,000 BCE, creation of the Great Sphinx, modern archaeological accepted dates. Sphinx means Hor-Akhet or Heru in the horizon. This means that the king is one with the spirit Ra as an enlightened person possessing an animal aspect, lion, and illuminated intellect. A Noonian theology, Ra, serpent power spirituality. C. 10,000 BCE, 5,500 BCE, the sky god, realm of light day, Neter, androgynous, all-encompassing, absolute, nameless being, later identified with Ra Herakati, Sphinx. 7,000 BCE, Kemetic myth and theology present in architecture. Then you have 5,500 plus BCE to 600 ACE, Amun Ra Ptah Heru, Amenet Ra Sekhmet, male and female trinity, complementary opposites. 5,500 plus BCE, Memphite theology, Ptah. 5,500 plus BCE, Hermopolitan theology, Jehudi. 5,500 plus BCE, the Asarian resurrection theology, Asar. 5,500 plus BCE, the goddess principle theology, Aset Hetheru Net Mut Sekhmet Buto. 5,500 BCE, Dynasty 1, beginning the dynastic period, unification of Upper and Lower Egypt. 5,500 BCE, the 5th dynasty, pyramid text, Egyptian book of coming forth by day, 42 precepts of Ma'at and codification of pre-dynastic theologies, pre-dynastic period 10,000 BCE to 5,500 BCE, coming forth by day, book of the dead. 4241 BCE, the Pharaonic or royal calendar based on the Sothic system or star Sirius was in use. And then you have the Middle Kingdom period, 3000 BCE, wisdom text, precepts of Ptah Hotep, instructions of Amenope, etc. 2040 BCE, 1786 BCE, coffin text coming forth by day, Book of the Dead. You have 1800 BCE, Theban theology, Amun. And then you have the New Kingdom period, 1570 BCE, books of coming forth by day, or Book of the Dead. 1353 BCE, Atonism, non-dualist pre-dynastic philosophy was redefined by Akhenaten. 712 through 657 BCE, the Nubian dynasty. 657 BCE to 450 ACE. This is the last period of ancient Egyptian culture, which we saw several invasions by foreigners from Asia Minor, Assyrians, Persians, and Europe, Greeks and Romans, and finally, the closing of the temples, murdering of the priests and priestess, the forced conversion to the foreign religions, and destruction of Nuterian holy sites by Christians and Muslims. The teaching went dormant at this time until the 20th century ACE. And this is where we'll pause at today. Beautiful people. All right, so tomorrow is getting into who were the ancient Egyptians and what is yoga philosophy. Don't let these words, by this time, if y'all still here, y'all been hanging on for a while, none of these terms are triggering y'all at this point. At least they shouldn't, right? We got a lot of background and where they came from and what is meant by them. Not the current uninformed teachings of most people today who are just regurgitating stuff without doing any kind of real study, right? So we're truth seekers and we're searching out truth. It means sometimes we got to go into some places that are dark or some places that we're told to us we're dark or we deem to be scary to pull out the truth, right? Okay. We keep what's good and we separate and put the bad over here, right? Until we know for certain that it is truly bad, because it could just be something that we don't quite yet understand, right? But we got to get all the pieces of the puzzle before we can make that final determination. So don't leave class early, people. I'm just saying. Okay, so today it is Monday, April the 11th, 2022. Day 79 of year 4 of reading through the books of the Law and the Prophets. Another 4-year consecutive day count. Day 1097. We started reading Big Blue, the OSP. Today, we got through the introduction, the table of contents, table of plates, and all that stuff. Same thing with the new book that we started today, Meditation, the Ancient Egyptian Path to Enlightenment. All this stuff seems to be lining up as we follow along, right? It's getting real good. So with that being said, if y'all got it, feel free to read ahead. I'm not stopping y'all. Y'all should be doing your own research and study with the stuff we just come together and read, just ask questions. I don't know everything, right? I learned a lot from y'all. Questions y'all ask me, I'm like, that's a good question. Let me check, right? So don't let me hinder you from doing your own personal study and research, as we all should be doing, right? I trust that you all are, and actually tasting the pudding, right? Not just being a forever student, never practicing or learning how to put anything into action, right? Because you don't grow that way by just constantly listening, and not doing, right? You got to listen, assimilate, observe, assimilate some more, and then practice and see if it works, right? You got to have the lab part of class, like in science. We learn, get the book portion. Now it's time to put into practice. Do we really understand what we done learned? Okay, well, let's see. Everybody do experiment 1, and we'll see. Everybody got the same information. We'll see by your results of your experiment how well you've assimilated the information you got, because somebody gonna blow something up in class, right? Teacher gonna have to come over there with the fire extinguisher. Matter of fact, he or she is waiting with the fire extinguisher in their hand. Somebody didn't assimilate this right? You might hear an explosion. You might hear screaming, oh my God. We might have to evacuate the class because you done screwed it up so bad and smoked the whole class out, right? But somebody catches it, right? And we got to figure out, okay, what did you do? Let's go back to your last point of understanding to make sure we assimilate the rest of this the correct way, right? And that comes through trial and error. Actually practicing, not just hearing, never learning, never doing, right? Faith plus works. All right, beautiful people. May Yah bless you all in all that you do today. I love y'all, and I will see y'all back here tomorrow morning, bright and early, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye.